Well, welcome back to Not for Gwent Deck Triathlon with me, Patinator. We're gonna check out the Nilfgaard update, which I guess has a lot of changes for Nilfgaard, but not as many as I would hope. Reveal is gone. Reveal is no longer a thing. They didn't even say the word reveal in the dev stream. That's how much they wanted it gone. It's been replaced with a bunch of other abilities, mostly in the spying and soldier thing, but we'll get to that in a bit. We'll take a look at all the changes. 12 Nilfgaard base set cards were changed. Swears I'm unironically excited about. There's a bunch of new features. You can. That's not what's important to me. Alright, let's take a look at the changes to the cards and work forward. Triss Telekinesis will not create a card. That is some loud ass music. Hold on a second here. I made a mistake increasing the sound of that music. The sound of music. Triss Telekinesis will not create a card from either player's starting deck rather than the current deck. This lets her be a stronger third round play because they might not have anything left in the deck. It also lets you mulligan her more freely. Generally, it's neither a nerf nor a buff, because before you could kind of manipulate what was in your deck through mulligans and just being careful so you can control what Triss gets. Now it's just if you had it there, he could find it again. Count Caldwell can no longer count himself as the highest unit on board, which means he will follow nobody. If you play him on an empty board, there's a 50-50 chance that he's going to jump. That's not true, because it needs a unit to trigger his ability. The 0v nothing board no longer counts, which is fine. So you can empty play him first round in Northern Realms, then convert him, then transform him into a Revenant per that old trick, and it will still work. So that said, I think either Northern Realms or super tall monsters will be the only things that can use Caldwell, as well as monsters with Gurnikora, who can naturally play things with 8 stir or more. With the 8 star Griffin to kind of secure their stance on it. With what with damage being slightly nerfed, because a lot of the most basic damage things have been kind of changed in value. We'll get to that in a second. So definitely going to see a bit more care with Caldwell. I don't think he's going to be in every deck. I think there's going to be specific decks that can play him. Weavis Incantation, for example, can eat him straight out of your hand and feed him to your Osril, making him a much safer play than before. That's the cat taking a shit. But he's not just going to be like, I need an offensive play, I guess we're playing Caldwell. That's not the case anymore. If the other guy has a Necker Warrior who is super strong, he will follow the Necker Warrior, because traitors have no brains? I don't know. Olgierd von Everett provision cost changed from 9 to 8, which means we have a cheap card that we still won't use. Gimpy Gerwin provision cost changed from 8 to 9 is a huge deal, because now he represents something that I'm going to talk about once we get to Regis Bloodlust, and that is the tax for being able to do 9 or 8 or more power. But yeah, he no longer becomes overcosted in a specific situation. At best, he breaks even with his provision cost. Now, the game of Gwent is more than about getting the most out of your provisions. Not all decks do that. Most notably, the mid-range decks are the ones that try to squeeze every value out of each individual card so we can decide whether or not to slip under the reins of control or dominate a engine deck by smart passing and proper removal of engines. Now, Gimpy Gerwin might see less play because he's not as efficient anymore. You're just not gonna get... People can play around it. Yes, Kitty, I know you want to climb the green screen, but Daddy's using it right now. I think he might still see play because a lot of the power 9s have been changed to 10s, and you might just not have a choice. And because he's been nerfed in this way, people might not be expecting him to. But if the soldier deck of Nilfgaard becomes more relevant, I can see Gimpy Gerwin finding his way back into decks. But as it stands, they are slightly achieving their goals of making golds tech choices rather than the all-stars of the game. Which I'm not sure if that's still their philosophy. They said that right before Homecoming became a thing, and then Homecoming became a thing, so I don't know if that's what they want to do anymore, because silvers don't exist anymore. But here we are. Ochvis provision cost changed from 9 to 10, which is now slightly more fair. He used to get max value from an average of 4 units. Kitty, please don't do... I guess the cat's here now. Kitty, no, fine, go over there. Hang out by the window. Totally fair. I always thought that 9 was a little cheap for such a powerful second to the last turn. card, especially in the long run. He can Ocvis can easily reach 10 to 11 points. Now we're reaching the point after Teshamut now, which has been changed from 4 to 5 and still won't be played because unless we get a lot of shields popping around. Enraged Ifrit and Regis Bloodlust have been changed from 9 to 10. What does this tell us? That the value Regis Bloodlust not reach notwithstanding as an equivalent to Enraged Ifrit. The banish on Regis is not why he's at 10. The Enraged Ifrit is not at 10 because of any specific value. It's overcosted. It is a neutral and should be overcosted, even if it doesn't have the range problem the Regis has. This is what's starting to look like the tempo tax. Previously, we could look at a card's value relative to the power it represents on the board and in the future versus its provision cost. That is no longer the case. Another balancing lever here is if it creates too much tempo, they can simply increase the requisite value. Because the increase in provision cost is not due to power levels, it is due to impact. Wait, that actually sounds like the same thing. You get what I'm saying, right? It's not because it has an extra ability, it is not because it is super special, unique, or because it synergizes particularly well. It is just because it represents more power. It is just because it represents power. The removal of 4 is a critical number. A lot of engines die at 4. Only extremely powerful engines can survive a shot from them, which means that you're not really just getting the 4 damage on the removal of a card. You're removing future potential because of how efficient these cards are, and that's their tax. They're a tempo tax because they're both control and tempo. They provide you with a body and remove a potential engine on the board. That's why a lot of IFNI decks have problems against mid-range decks and against just pure tempo decks, because they're not removing extra value from, oh my god, the cat is climbing stuff that she shouldn't. Kitty, come here. I give you treats. This is a treat down here. Alright. Here, buddy. Oh god, you're just knocking anything around. Alright, let's get to that. The problem with that scoia'tael faces on non-engine decks is that it gets no extra value off its removal. Its removal points are just that. They're playing usually 6 for 5 for 6 in the case of the Dryhead Officer, or 5 for 5 in the case of the Belbotana Archers and the Marksman. But they're not removing future power, they simply exist as they are. Now, because we're not dealing 4 or more damage, they don't get that tax. They don't get the 8 power tempo tax. Or damage tax, whatever. And that's why we're not gonna get nerfed. Or because we just didn't want to see more of that card being played. Although I can see it still being played. 4 power is not easy to come by. So Enraged Ifrit and Regis might still find room in tempo decks. That left would be nerfs to Wild Hunt Riders. Might still use them because Wild Hunt Riders are now 5 muster for 2 free store units. So we'll see. Araka's Venom might find a new home in the world. I think my ramble made some sense. Gregor de Gorgon boost changed from 6 to 5. Totally fair. Kitty, please stop. I'm gonna kick you out. I will kick you out. Kit Kat. Yeah, Gregor de Gorgon. So he's now 10 for 10, which is fair. He boosts up to 9? It boosts up to 10. He's base 4, boosts up to 9, deals 1. So 10 for 10. Very conditional, but he also comes with a shield, so nothing short of a Geralt can protect him, can take him down. Totally fine. Pellar's power change from 3 to 4. Now that's a standard you're going to see a lot. A lot of the tech cards, or very specific cards, yeah, a lot of tech cards got increased in power so that they can find room in more decks without slowing your tempo down too much. Dragon's Dream has been changed from Alchemy to Bomb. Synergies in that pending. No one was really using the Alchemy part of Dragon's Dream, so it's not really a tremendous change. The Meridian Bomb primary category change from Alchemy to Bomb, which fucking makes all the sense, seeing as it is a bomb. There were no degenerate synergies there. I think it's just a neat change because those are bombs that the Witchers use. So I like the flavor. A little bit of flavor goes a long way. If a card game is not flavorful, it is just an Excel file of well, you just a random number Excel file. Nothing matters, and it's going to be hard for a lot of people to get into it because it's just, if the pictures don't matter, it's boring. You become disconnected with what's happening. Flavor is important to a card game, but that's for a different video. Monsters, Eric Glass's boost amount changed from 4 to 2, and now he has 2 charges, making him even less playable. People might say that he's usable, and in some cases he might be. In engine decks where you have to protect one engine in particular, if you want to protect the new Imlerif, quote-unquote new Imlerif, they changed Imlerif ever, he might be okay. Immunity was a little tragic. It's a tragic loss considering it's a shield is strong, but is in no way comparable to immunity. Immunity is just, you can't touch this, dun, 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 dun. And that made Imlerif strategy safe. Now, while you can still do the Imlerif strategy, it's just not going to be as safe as before, which might be okay. I don't think he's going to get played. I think he's going to be surprising, but he still needs room to breathe. He needs more cards that matter with him. Maybe if they have more engines, because he boosts, so he's not good on a thrive. He might be good on... God, I don't fucking know. It's just numbers. It's just a shield. Maeve outvalues him in like 8 rounds. Maeve inherently outvalues her. Outvalues him. I can't see a good thing behind this. He's just like, maybe if we give him charges, it'll be more useful. Nah, I don't know about that, my man. Maybe you made a bot. Kit Kat, I will kick you out of the room if you keep doing that. Imlerif's dominance will now only trigger if you already control the highest ally, which means it does not count. It does not see itself coming into play. So Protoflatter, you must have a tie with the highest, a tie unit or the tallest unit on board for Protoflatter to get the drain effect rather than the damage effect. I will now kick the cat out because she is becoming a distraction. Alright, much better. This has a lot of terrible implications for monsters. This is probably one of the worst things that ever happened to monsters as a faction. I don't say that lightly. That's with the Spirit Tip nerf. Because now you cannot just open with Wild Hunt Riders. Wild Hunt Riders, I've tried it. I've tested it. If you play a Wild Hunt Rider alone, and there's nothing on the board, it doesn't muster. Which means that strong 8-point opening no longer exists. Not just because they're just 5 provision now and like 3 stir. Which is great, by the way. For the longest time, they were the strongest, most efficient muster card in the game. And they were terrible against slower engine decks in the second round, as they could just like play it and pass, and the other guy will usually have to play 2 cards. It's quite horrific, really. Anyway. And I mean, a lot of those cards just don't work anymore. Wild Hunt Hounds no longer the key 3-point removal. You need a 4 to kill a 3, which means you might have to spend your opening turn just playing a 4 or something that doesn't matter, something that exists by itself. Hell, Cyclops has got nerfed to 4, and that's kind of terrible for them. There's not a lot of good to see in monsters right now. It's actually quite painful to look at them. I think they're being forced to rely on their leaders a bit more, which is, I cannot judge whether that's a good thing or not. Woodland Toll can still protect their Toll unit by putting it on a werewolf or the werewolf alpha, which means they can always establish themselves as the highest unit on the board, which means that Caldwell might be useful for them, the dominance units might be useful for them, although it is kind of sad that some of the dominance units are Wild Hunt and Aridin is Wild Hunt, and they don't really jive with him like Imlerif. Imlerif is better now. You need like extremely so much better with Woodland Spirit, because Aridin doesn't give him shit. Aridin makes him a 7, and not that tall units are that common, but he's killable and targetable. Although he did get changed. Ardor damage unit by 1. Dominance, he damages by 2 instead. Cooldown 1, reach 2. Both good things. All good things. He's like the Siggy? The other Siegfried? Not Siegfried, that guy with the beard who has to get hurt to punch things harder. So that he's a standard 5-star engine with an improvement if you get certain conditions on him. I actually am unironically excited about that in that he's an engine and it works. Alpha Werewolf appropriately finally got its provision cost changed from 5 to 6 because it was way too strong to begin with. It is immune and shit. God, why? Why was it? I mean, immunity, I think they're starting to count it as 2 points of value rather than 1. It used to be that if you were immune, that's not true. Werewolf is 4 for 4. I don't know what they're thinking anymore. I don't know how they count immune anymore. It might not be part of their provision costing anymore. Werewolves remain one of the most efficient immune cards, but that's probably because they're probably gonna make it a free. I wouldn't be surprised if they made Werewolf a free eventually. Or even a 2 to match this entire new thing they have going with immunity. I mean, not that they changed Milva, not that they changed the synthesis. Well, they did change the synthesis, but not her immunity. They made her more vulnerable, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Cyclops changed from 5 to 4, we mentioned that. It's fine. He's primarily an activator now, very poor like empty play. 5 is not great. You want your plays to be in the 6 to 9 range. Him being a 4 really requires him to have a death wish or removal aspect to his play, which is, I mean, that just stands to reason. Now the egg play is now a 4 plus 3 minus 3. It's now a 9-point play instead of a 10-point play. Much more reasonable. It does cost you 2 cards, but it can be a removal. It can exist as a removal, so I feel this is fair. Wispus's power has been changed from 5 to 4. Brewis has been changed from 5 to 6. I don't know, maybe they wanted Geralt to kill Brewis more. Wispus is the damage one. Their abilities are largely the same, but it's just a little bit of balance. But they do the 4, 5, 6 thing. It's kind of neat. I can't see it mattering, but I understand the change in that they want to even out the tempo that it's generating. No longer is Wispus a potentially an 11-point play. He is now a 10-point play, but you're depositing power on your side of the board. Since power on the other side of the board. Since power on your side of the board is more vulnerable thanks to damage from the other guy and what's the last one? Wispus, Brewis, and Buffus. Buffus, it remains at 5. It's 1 point, but since the 6 she's delivering is far more vulnerable to an interactable than to the enemy, it stands to reason that she'd come with a bigger body, so that you can preserve more for value on play, because they'd have to shoot 2 things to get her. Whereas the power you remove with Wispus, the other guy usually can't do anything about it, especially if you remove an engine. So I get that change. Karen's power changed from 4 to 5, provision cost from 9 to 8. People were using it already. It's a good buff. I don't know if it's going to matter, but it's going to be slightly harder to remove pre-Karen. This might be a stealth buff to Dettlaff. There's a lot of happy things to see here for Dettlaff. Cyclops power change, no, not really. So Dettlaff decks don't really use dominance. Morwood getting changed might open up some beast decks. It's slightly weaker, but it is a lot cheaper to work to get equal value since he boosts all beasts on the field. Needs 3 beasts on the field. Griffin is a beast. Wyvern is a beast. There's a lot of beasts. Could actually be workable. Alright, Wild Hunt Rider changed for 4 to 3, provision cost 6 to 5. I mean, it's not even that good anymore. It's now more equivalent to the Mahakam defenders, the Mahakam, the dwarves that only get summoned if you have dwarves on the field already. So I get it. I get why the muster is different. They want Finning to be more difficult. They want to bring a bit more randomness to the game because Bran has taken over the consistency belt. And we know what happens when a deck is hyper consistent. Even when it's predictable, sometimes you just can't do anything about it. Bran's still going to be a problem, by the way. You can mark my words on that. It's still going to be a problem. Suga is now a cursed unit. Makes sense. Oh, Skellige. Bran Torzak's provision bonus changed from 16 to 15. It seems like a tiny change, but a lot of his cards got more expensive. Like, Removal Bran is now a lot more difficult to put together because the Coral has been changed, Regis and Ifrit have been changed, which means it's gonna be harder to fit cards in the deck. Overall, I agree with this change. Arniel the Patricide, can't spell Patricide without Pat. Power change from 9 to 11, which means that he is now a 14-point play. No, he's not a 14-point play. He's an 8-point play, up from a 6-point play. Very respectable leader. Combo-tastic leader. If you don't steal the first round from him, he's probably gonna ruin you. But I'm just excited about him getting buffed. I'm probably gonna run a deck around him. I can't say whether that makes him viable or not, but there's a lot of tiny buffs to Skellige that might make him usable. I mean, you could still surprise people with Regis, still works with Man Logos, still works with Jimal Mamar. and Hemdal. A lot of good things. Harold the Cripple finally got changed from 13 to 15. I never knew why he was at 13. It's not like he was equal to Bran, but he has a good finisher. He has a nice protected finisher if he can win the first round, so maybe that's why they were concerned about him. He has just 8 straight up damage, which can synergize with a lot of things, but it's untargeted, it's random, only really synergizes with 1 card, maybe 2 if you want to count with the boar. But I always find the 13 weird. It'll be strange. It'll be interesting to see whether or not people take advantage of this 13 points. So Valblood, the leader that punches his own friends, changed from 16 to 17, which, I mean, he was already playable. He was, I think, low-key slightly better than Iced. And slightly better than Bran. He didn't have Bran's Finning, but if Bran's Finning gets nerfed, it's gonna be real strong. Like, he can instantly activate combos. If you want to read it that way, he can feel like Skellige's version of Foltest, in that you normally have a chance to react to things like Valdkar. But Valblood says, no, Valdkar's a 12-point bear now. Or Olaf is damaged. Like, you don't have to wait for anything except Olaf's order, I guess, activating. Yeah, but he can set up some very degenerate turns. Especially, and he can set up some of their musters as well. I think this is, I wouldn't say dangerous. I don't think it's gonna make him broken, but I think it's gonna make him more appealing to use than Bran in some respects. Coral provision cost changed from 9 to 8. Her ability changed to Zeal or to discard, then draw a card. Whenever you discard a special card, damage it and immune by 2. This is low-key a big deal. At first glance, I thought it like, okay, so she lost 1 charge. First of all, she can't generate more charges, which is probably for the best. The second, this changes the way you build your deck, because you have 1 less discard in Skellige. Because you have 1 less discard from, that means you can't put as many trash specials just for her to generate value, which means you gotta look, the pressure is on for the value of your other cards. It seems like a small thing, but a big part of Skellige deck building, especially with Bran and Coral, was that you didn't really have to give a shit about your force, because you could always throw them away. You could have trash force. I ran that Meridian Bomb there for a while in Clear Skies, the only time those decks ever really saw play. Because I could confidently just, I don't care about the force, now I can run power golds all the way out and just chuck the garbage away. Which was a little fucked up from a deck building perspective. Or people like, I gotta make sure every card counts. Where Skellige was like, well, I can put in some garbage. And that might have lent some power to Bran over time. He's also the best finning guy. He also has damage for finning, which no other deck has. I don't know what to say about Bran, man. He is driving me nuts. Anyway, Olaf is now at 11, which is fair considering the amount of power and combo-tastic value that he has. 11 for 8, that can be, it's hard to remove, so I don't know if that's super important. Newt Vicalis, provision cost from 9 to 8, so he's now a 6 throw power at somebody else. Pretty well. I always thought he'd be better. He didn't deserve to be a 9. 9s are for 9s and up seem like game ender cards. Valblood Priest changed from 2 to 3, which means on first proc it becomes a 5, which is a lot more difficult to remove than a 4. It might be usable. Swear to God, it might be usable. It's also a 4-point play rather than a 3-point play, which is Come on, man, we really want that. This also opens up room for more engine-based Skellige decks, which, of course, I'm gonna try it. Driven Shield Maiden Provision cost from 6 to 5. I believe that's their muster card. It's cheaper. I mean, there's Svalbard's looking better already. The engines are working better. The self-wounding engines are better. The finning aspect is there, and they might become not as consistent, but closer to the same consistency that Varana has. I don't know why Skellige, the Raiders, the disorganized Raiders, sort of disorganized at any rate, are the ones that are given the decks that are most consistent. But what I know, I suck heads off fish. And create Longship Provision cost from 7 to 6. That's the thing that damages things as they enter play. There is a lot. You know what? I was joking about that board, but it might be playable now. The one that boosts for each wounded unit on either side of the board. There could be a deck here that's just punching everything. That's an engine. Technically, Uncreate Longship is an engine, in that it dissuades people from playing. Demon Warship, the one that deals free damage on play, used to be a 5-1 deal free. Now it's a 5-2 deal free. So it's 5 for 5 plus synergies. Not bad. Vabjorn is now a warrior, which means he can get resummoned by ice. Valdkarl is a warrior, which means he can get resummoned by ice. Not the bear form, but his base form if he dies. Hemi Protector now has the warrior category, which means he can get summoned by ice. Also things that synergize with warriors. Warriors being the, I think, their point slammy version. Corrupted Flaminka now has the druid category, which is meaningless but is more appropriate. Yuta and Demon's deployability will no longer take into account other copies of Yuta on the board, which just makes so much fucking sense that it boggles the mind. Northern Realms. Queen Kalanf changed from 14 to 16 for it appropriate. It is a combo deck. I believe the Natalis Avalok thing still works. You still have to do it in the right order, and it'll be fun. I don't know if it's worth it. There are other combos for Kalanf, up to and including duping the shit out of her knights and just boosting them to high heaven. But because she's a one-use leader, everybody sees a one-use leader and thinks, well, not everybody, I guess, but I tend to think that when you see that, like, there's nothing that's not gonna be degenerate about this deck. No one's gonna let that first round go. If she can create a dominant first round, she's got a real shot at just getting her combos off and just winning the game out of it. King of Foltest getting 1 point is, I don't know, I already built all my Foltest decks. I don't know if I'm happy about it, but I'm happy to see him get buffed since he wasn't getting used a lot. King Demavend changed from 16 to 17, which is not the problem, but everyone's gonna choke him out too. And Sevad being good. I can see Demavend being used over Henselt for the same deck, with slight changes in what you're beefing up, like with a Foltest Pride to murder things heavily charged based with, I don't know what their finisher is gonna be, but it's gonna be there. Foltest getting that change as well as Kalanf getting that change kind of makes the upcoming change, Vandergriff's ability, deploy boost an allied knight by 2 whenever you play a knight boosted by 2. Kind of okay. There aren't a lot of big knights in form. Let's check them out actually. How many knights are there for? You're a knight. Skellige, scoia'tael, never knows. The primo targets will be Selkirk and Prince Anseis, of course, because they're dual cards and won't matter. You become protected. I don't know about Renard. You also don't matter as much. I mean, it keeps you protected, but it's okay. This can create more knights. This is a knight. There's a deck here. I swear to God, there's probably a deck here. I'm just not looking at. Shields and knights. Shields, boosts, and knights. Mave deck. Oh, that's getting on, but that's on the list of things I'm gonna do. Anyway, so that's good. This does excite me in some ways. That could be a good finisher for Demavend, but I think that feels like a more of a Mave engine deck with a lot of protections and boost. Dandelion's power, the one that whenever somebody gains a charge, they gain boost by 1. Change from 4 to 5, which means, well, still unplayable. Yeah, people are gonna play it, but I think there's just more. By the time you decide that it's time for Dandelion to be in the deck, is the time you kind of start thinking about your first round. You just start thinking about your short round. he's the first one you're probably gonna cut. Audrin's provision cost, and he comes into play and gives everyone a charge. Change from 8 to 7. Still super greedy as a card, still probably not going to get used, especially since Prince Stennis has been changed from 5 to 2, provision cost changed from 9 to 7, and he's back to his old shenanigans of giving 2 charges instead of 1. He also still boosts it by 2, which is nice, so damn good card. It's still a damn good card. So 2 plus 2, he's worth 4, 3 points. If you can give something that delivers 2 points for every charge, so that's 4. 4 plus 2, 6. It becomes worth 8. Very situational 8, easy to remove, can activate Death Blows. I think Prince Stannis now is a fair card. It was usable. Vest being changed from 8 to 9 is absolutely fucking mandatory because she was overcosted from the start. She had removal, she had free power, and she had an order ability that enables your next attack. She was always a 9. Reynard Odo changed from 9 to 8. Kring Rogner changed from 9 to 8. I mean, people weren't exactly using him to begin with, but with the way that Bran got nerfed and the way damage as a whole got, the most common damage units got nerfed as a whole, especially with the upcoming change to Ifni, which is now she's now an 18. Might see King Rogner. Not. I wish we did. I know that there are some jank decks out there that can run King Rogner. I just don't think those are going to be consistent. I'm not saying they're not going to be fun, but he does still provide tremendous value for what he is. Scoia'tael. Ifni's provision bonus change from 19 to 18. I don't know if that's going to change all that much. She's still the highest expense leader in the game. 19 was fucking absurd to begin with. Like, that's so many points. I mean, that didn't make her the best deck. This is more of just a game of getting the most out of your provision points, of course. So their play, their abilities, their interaction points, but it still felt absurd that she had the most points. Especially since she could set up all the death blows. Sesentis' order ability, the one that removes its immunity, now removes immunity until the start of your next turn, which means people will have an opportunity to knock the shit out of your Sesentis, which is still useful, but not as fucking broken as it used to be. She's not functionally immune forever. There's a small window of opportunity to actually shred her, which is fine. Immunity is becoming a bit of a problem in that it says we're not playing. It's like a mini version of non-interactability, except you get points on your side of the board. I agree with it. The fuck is Forest Whisperer? Take. Hey, I don't even know what you used to be. Didn't you always do this? I feel like you always did this. The dogs agree. They always did this. Deploy given enemy in poison order and given ally in the shield. I guess. Malcolm Guard will now boost itself by number of allied dwarves on the row it's played rather than the other row, which makes so much sense. I guess it was intentionally meant to be like dwarves in the back, dwarf in the front. Like he's a guard and like I'm gonna get buffed. Quality of life change, I guess. Still works out. Half-Elf Hunter will no longer be able to target an enemy unit if you control no artifacts. Nice, I guess. Weeping Willow, the boosty tree, is now a 7. That's fine, I guess. Because it doubles all of its buffs over time. Provides a nice little sub-engine for Philavandrel decks. Appreciated. Sheldon Skagg's provision cost changed from 8 to 9, which is, while it doesn't really limit his value, I think that's still super cheap for him since a single 3-point thing makes him a 12. Then that's fucking absurd. You buff him for 3 and he's a 12. You buff him for 2 and he's a 10. He's a 3, right? This absurd little bastard's a 3, right? How is it then? Still too cheap, but it's not primarily to make him, like, to actually nerf him. I think they're taking a light touch with him. It's primarily to make it more difficult for Ifni to fit him in, and I get that. It will force the Ifni decks to either run worse cards, more bad cards, or give up one of their finishers, which probably they'll give up the Great Oak. Cersei's power changed from 4 to 3. She was kind of absurd. I don't think she was as broken as everybody said she was, but she was still strong in that she was an engine, she was hand buff, and she was removable. All good shit. Too much good shit, in fact. She's also more easily removable if she starts at 3, since a lot more free damage is basically free for everybody. Grove Keeper changed from fleet to 4, which means we got more resilient engines as a whole. Boost engines. Barclay, else provision cost from 8 to 7. Not that anybody used Barclay, but he buffed somebody according to the number of dwarves that you have. Here you go. Wow! Nilfgaard, of course. Crowning glory of this aforementioned patch. Marvin Voorhees, provision cost changed from 7 to 15. Fair. Ability change to order, boost an allied soldier by 2. Charge free once all charges have been exhausted. Move a soldier unit from the top of your deck. From your deck to the top. I don't know how to use that. Unless you want to play a soldier using Vilgefortz. Is there anything that plays off your deck in Nilfgaard? No. Draw a card? Neutral draw a card? Guess if you want to combo with Dandelion, you can do it. I guess. Siri, but any soldier, so I guess you can move a gold soldier to the top of your deck. That's weird, because most of the time you want to save these charges to dominate the third round, but I guess they're trying to get him to use his abilities more if you want to get that second ability. You don't even really need to use that. I don't know what the dogs are just arguing about, but they might be arguing over what the point of this ability is. Frangilla Vigo, provision cost was 79, ability changed from deploy to damage and a unit by 2, increase your number of targets by 1 for each adjacent mage. Adjacent to who? To her? How many mages do we have? I may as well put in human. I mean, I know there's an elf mage in Avalok, like you're an elf mage, but that's probably not gonna find room in that deck. Cause damage and mage are the same thing apparently. You got her, you got this, but you're not playing it in that order. Yennefer, we could have a mini engine deck, but I don't. That's probably not gonna be a thing. You're still a reveal card for some reason, but because you're neutral, I guess they're gonna change you later. More mages, more mages, more mages. That's it? But Nilfgaard, you have more mages? Are you a mage? Well, Vilgefortz counts as a mage, but he's also not gonna be the first thing you play. Like, she's gonna be down in front. Well, Vigo is a mage. You're a mage. Actually, we have a significant number of mages. I don't think it'll be good. I think it's a nice bonus. Let's see, at most she can deal what? Frangilla 7 to 9? Let's see, she's a 4, right, Frangilla? Enemy unit by 2, increase number of targets by 1 for each giant mage. So 3 targets, 6, 10. 10 for 9 for very specific, for distributable. You can't hit the same thing over and over again, which kind of limits his power. It's purely a tempo play, or a setup play for Gregor. Who is still good, by the way. He's not overcosted, he's not undercosted anymore. He's fair. That doesn't mean he's bad. In fact, he's still pretty goddamn good. Seriously, I unironically enjoy this change. Provision cost change from 9 to 10. Ability change to deploy melee season enemy unit with 3 or less power. I like it. 1, he's a free power card that has 10 provision, which means he's Vivienne's new best friend. 2, she's a it's just so much flavor. I love the flavor behind this new spheres. I just really like the flavor behind new spheres. Read the books. Hefty Helget, ability change to shield. Order damage unit by 2, charge 1, gain 1 charge whenever you play a tactic. I mean, it's okay. I don't think it's playable. I mean, there are tactics cards that protect it. Exactly one tactics card that protects it. It exists. I don't think it's playable. I mean, the shield makes it a bit more resilient, yes. It's also like 2-stir. I want to say Hefty Helga is 2-stir. 3-stir. It's still very killable. It is something that forces a response, which means it can serve as a way to eat up. It can serve as the head of a tactics engine deck, but that's rarely what you're going for tactics. Maybe we should rethink how engines work, how tactics decks work to make hefty Helga fit, but I find it hard at a glance to decide to think that if she ever needs room. Tactics deck's already so tight on power because of the tactics they're required to put in thanks to Ardell. Even with the four provision tactics, it's still not easy to fit in those cards. We'll see. Definitely on the fence in that one. It can single-handedly win a card win a round against a deck that doesn't have any control, but and with control being more limited, might be better than I think it is. Rain Farm of Atra. Change to whenever you play a unit that's spying, boosts up by 2, so old Imperial Brigades. Kinda cool. Another like tactics and spies look like the engine variants of Nilfgaard. Although spies has a bit more tempo, thanks to Imperial Brigades and the Imperial Enforcers and I guess Rain Fam and I guess the Emissaries, which have been changed. Let's see. Different Arbalest changed from 3 to 4, and now it eats units from. It's like a mini. That engineer dude, mini Xavier Lemons. Very strange change. I'll be honest with you, I can't see the reason why it was done this way. But it's here now. It's a soldier. Alba Pikeman changed from 2 to 4, and it became a trebuchet except on the melee row, in that it punches something on the melee row by 1 at the end of each turn. Soldiers also have some mini engines. Soldiers might be more than just point slam cards, but we'll see. I mean, any reason to use Vigoref is a good reason for me. Mangadel change from 4 to 3. Ability change to deploy damage to enemy unit by 1. Increase the damage by 2 for each spying unit adjacent to the target. Reach 2. Tough ask. Seems interesting. I think it's a placeholder for when we can get more spying units. It doesn't seem that great, honestly. It needs for it to match its 5 point. It's 5 points, right? Look at that mango. Damage enemy unit by 1, increase damage by 2. So it's either a 4 for 5 or 6 for 5. Sometimes it's an 8 for 5. It's got a high ceiling if you can set it up, but that's if you can set it up. I'm on a fence on it. It wouldn't be my first choice to put in the deck. Standard Bearer's ability change to boost self by 1 for each boosted enemy unit. You're losing, everyone is boosted, so why not play a Standard Bearer? Darren's soldier provision cost changed from 5 to 6, and its ability is changed to deploy a spawner-based copy of his unit and summon it to this row. Which is interesting, because it's a 6 for 6 and creates more soldiers. All that screams to me is that boosty guy that boosts soldiers, this guy, Vrimd, is super cool now, because there's so many ways to create more soldiers with the same name, not just slave infantry now. And with this is the reason that what's his name might make it back. Gimpy Gerwin might make it back into the meta. That's not my dog. That's somebody else's dog just barking. Just leave it alone. Vendal Elite now boosts itself by each tactic in your hand, which is pretty questionable, but it's a good neutral play for a Ardell deck, and that was our problem for a while. Just not having a proactive play could be neat. Could be neat to just have the Vandal Elite sitting around. Unpredictability changed, boost a unit by 4. If it's a soldier, heal it first. Could be amazing. Probably not. Probably not getting the first. If you have room for a 5 and you don't know what to do, I guess you play Ointment, but I don't think it's going to see play. Emir has been increased from 14 to 50, and his ability will now boost the unit moved to your hand by 2. If there's anything you want to reuse, I guess. Excuse me. 30 Shelmar, range for ability changed to I still won't be used despite it being changed to boosting self by 2 for each allied unit from a different faction. Look at me, I have an arena card. Ox ability will now only lock copies of an enemy unit on the board. He can no longer lock copies of the enemy unit in the opponent's hand in the deck, making him kind of shitty. I mean, what do you use him for anymore? Now it's always going to be Serret Ox. Lefro Serret Ox is always going to be, almost always going to be the order, except in very fucking niche situations. Although it does feel better. He's like a locked version of Gimpy Gerwin. It doesn't scare engine decks from playing an engine on the first round because they think Ox might lock all of them forever. So it's more fair, but I don't think he's worth it anymore. I mean, you'll still add him for the 10-point Ox in Vallejo, maybe, but It hurts. It just hurts seeing Ox turn to this. Look what they did to my boy. They massacred my boy. Again, another stealth buff to Deathlaf because now you can dupe Deathlaf without Ox locking all copies of him. Yanni boy is now 17 points. Oh boy, the guy that can play 2 cards in 1 turn is now... Jesus, he's at 17 now. I think we're gonna see some... That dude that renews the leader ability decks. Could be. Vilgefortz is now 10, but still unplayable because of the way it works. God, Vilgefortz. I mean, you could use him. Vilgefortz, Tibor, Emir might be amazing. I might be looking at this the wrong way. That might actually be a good play. Maybe have something good to kill. Yennefer's Invocation revision cost changed from 10 to 9, still making it largely unplayable. It is a remove anything card. Put it on top of the other guy's deck. But it's also not something you want to play in the first round because you're just delaying the inevitable with that. Secondly, it's still targeted. Dad, I want to use it, but I don't think it's good. Sylvia's provision cost changed from 9 to 8, which we've already looked at. It messes with decks. Treyher and Vardefrin provision changed from 7 to 8, so they now value removing a card from your opponent's deck by 4. Just change him. Like, if you don't want people to use him, just change him. It doesn't even make sense. He's a herald. He's like the guy in Royal Decree, and then you... Whatever. God, I'm getting tired. Imperial Diviner and Ducal Guard have been increased from 3 to 4. They are Assimilate cards, and we don't have a lot of synergies with Assimilate yet. They're okay. It's more buff for Imperial Diviner because sometimes you'll want that Purify effect, and that's kind of neat. They have a stronger body associated with it, which could be an engine, which could threaten an engine. Emissary changed from 6 to 5, provision cost rather, and Boost changed from 7 to 6. Still a 1-to-1. Still a 1-to-1 trade. It's just that the swing is slightly smaller, but more affordable. And we were complaining a bunch about our 5s being shit. Here we go. What are my thoughts on this? I don't know. I mean, it's not as exciting, certainly, as Crimson Curse because there are not a bunch of new cards. Technically, there are with Nilfgaard, but it feels like this is just the beginning of a change for Nilfgaard. The sun may not have... The sun might yet be hidden by the clouds. I think the biggest, most valuable change for Nilfgaard is that we have more soldiers. Especially the Standard Bearer. Not the Standard Bearer, the Dalaran Soldier. Is that it makes Vreemdi super valuable. It might even make Necromancy super valuable. And Vrygif. It gives him a bunch more points time he plays. So, that could be exciting. Oh yeah, the record got boosted. Became a 6.5 card play. Except boost the soldier. Might be better than I think it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. I will be streaming a few minutes after this comes up, I guess. That's it. If you enjoyed it, you can subscribe here or follow and subscribe at twitch.tv/PatinatorTV. That's it. I hope you do that, but I won't ask you to. I'm no beggar. I'm Patinator. I'll see you later.